distracted. I'm still looking up I'm trying to figure out what a shock is, but I'll leave that to the ranking member to translate it for me. Shock. I wanted to ask you, and I appreciate the comments by the ranking member and Mr. DeFazio in terms of a changing private environment where you have investors who expect really sometimes unfair rate of return. So I appreciate your historic responsibilities in protecting this valuable national capital infrastructure. But I want to question a little bit, and it goes to some of the other comments about changing environments and anticipating that and working jurisdictionally, cross-jurisdictionally with FRA and with state agencies. I used to be on the California Air Resources Board. The rail companies would complain about our idling rules and some of our issues getting into the Port of Long Beach and LA and the Port of Oakland. So just maybe in terms of reauthorization, how you feel you could better work with your sister agencies, both at the federal and state level, so that you can keep rates as low as possible and still consistently meet your mandate about efficiency in regard to public health and other issues, and the FRA issues with hazardous materials going through urban areas. So this goes to a little bit about the other comments, understanding the jurisdictional constraints, but the communication with sister agencies in this regard, anticipating your mandate, effects on your mandate.
That's a very good question. Thank you so much. One of the things that the board has been doing over the past several years is board staff meets with staff of the FRA on a routine basis. Now that the FRA administrator is confirmed, I've been a bit negligent in reaching out and trying to set up a dialogue with him, although I will be doing that. I think it would actually be helpful for all of the members so that we know each other and we know their staff, so that we have a best understanding, because what we do is all interrelated. It's not to say we have jurisdiction over, we don't share jurisdiction, but it certainly is interrelated. We have a Rail Shipper Transportation Council that meets 4 times a year, and they're going to meet in early May, and we have invited FRA staff to come and give us an update on PTC implementation, so that while we will, have a new update, but also shippers that are affected by PTC, and there are carriers that also are on that council, and so we will also sort of get a sense of the progress at that point.
And on another external pressure on your mandate, West Coast, we're concerned about trade wars and the impact on our economy, and certainly in Northern California, the ability to transport agricultural goods, as the chairman's aware of, in and out of the Port of Oakland. Do you look at those things to try to anticipate, again, what the effect on those kind of external things, trade implications of a trade war, in this case in the Pacific Rim, which is certainly the focus of the administration right now, how that might affect your mandate in terms of rates and efficiency of the system?
Well, certainly if products become less desirable from other countries, there probably will be less movement to those ports.
Understood, but do you do any kind of analysis in anticipation of that, or is it just sort of we wait and react? We are somewhat reactive, and then the shippers will come to you and say we need a rate reduction, or we're moving some of our assets because of this? Well,
our rate reform, or rate review, I should say, is it's on complaint. Mm-hmm. So we don't just proactively or go out on our own and say your rates are too high, you can't do X. So that's not the approach that we take. It's actually a shipper needs to come to the board to establish that.
But that's my point. If you anticipate, certainly intellectually on your own, you might anticipate when you read news articles that one of your shippers may come to you and say, our model has changed dramatically. And this is hopefully part of our review in Congress, is being mindful. We don't want mission creep, and we want to keep the jurisdictions focused, but still anticipating these changes in a world that changes quite dramatically quickly. You don't have a vehicle to do that, is what I'm getting from your response.
I think that's right. And also, the majority of movements or I shouldn't say a majority, but many are under contract.
Right.
So that's individually dealt with between the shipper and the carrier.
Would it be helpful to have more assets or jurisdictional responsibility to anticipate those changes, or no? You feel it's fairly predictive. The contracts are constrained and your jurisdiction is.
I think that the more we know, the more helpful it is for, not just for the board to be effective and efficient, but so that, and again, we try to be very transparent, so the more that we can share with interested stakeholders, we certainly want to do.
Okay, thank you. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. DeSaulnier.